Yesterday we were talking about how spiritual life, how the name of God is like a seed. And interestingly enough, Ramakrishna makes that same association that spiritual life is like a seed that grows up into a grand tree that can give shade to many people, give enjoyment to many people. Jesus talks about the kingdom of God being like a mustard seed. And it really got me thinking about that. It must be a pretty important image, a pretty true image for such great knowers of the divine to be talking and comparing to spiritual life to that. And I really began contemplating that yesterday and thinking about it, the nature of it, that this seed, the name of God, the idea of the beloved within us, what is it? And what does that infer to call it a seed? A seed is self-contained. It contains the whole within itself. And it has to be planted. And where does it get planted? It gets planted in the mind, within your own awareness, with your own thoughts about the world. And how does it get watered? With attention, with remembering, with repetition, with drawing it into your consciousness, that your own consciousness is the fertilizer for it, your own awareness, staying aware, staying awake. Woke, I guess, is the modern word in that sense. But to put that seed in the soil of the mind and to water it with your attention and with your contemplation around it. And what begins to happen? It begins to send down roots into you, into yourself. And it makes you part of the whole. It makes you part of itself. And how does it do that? We are a product of what the Vedanta would call our samskaras, kind of the rivulets or the pathways in our mind that have developed because of the habitual way we react to the world or to things that happen to us. And I was thinking in terms of like relationship, that our opinion of somebody has to do mostly with how they treat us, what our experience is with them. And if you have no seed of the divine within, if there's no notion of the nature of yourself or the nature of other living beings, then that becomes one of your sole sources of interaction for that person. So after a few mistreatments, you no longer give that person any room in your life. You close them out, or you set up a very negative arrangement with them. And having this seed of faith, or this seed of knowledge, this seed of spiritual life, which teaches you about your own nature, that you are divine, and the nature of that divinity is love. The nature of that divinity is intelligence, and it's reflected in the very sense of being, of existing. That adds a new emphasis, a new, impetus for action, besides only experience with another person. It gives you some way to treat that person based on something independent of just actions or experience. That there's this assumption of oneness. I am you, you are me. We are both of that divine nature. We both exist. We both have love in our lives, express love in our lives. And it begins to make us look at that sameness, that shared identity. And so that is the roots of this seed that go down deep within us and give us a new perspective on the experiences and accumulations of our past actions, our past thoughts, our past attitudes. And that's how it slowly changes us, slowly makes us a part of this tree of life, the part of this oneness, a part of the beauty of this experience of nature, of the world around us. So it's a constant and steady reminder of the good, and a constant and steady reminder of the peaceful and the tranquil and the hopeful and the purposeful, and a relationship, a togetherness in life, in the way that we live. And that when it gets those roots established within the mind, it's changed the way you perceive and the way that you treat your thoughts, and it has emphasized that unity and that love. And then the tree begins to grow. And that tree is your actions, the way you express in the world, that you're reaching for that light. You've put out those sensors to see light and to pay attention to light, to see love and to pay attention to love in the world. And that those leaves, create the shade for the rest of the world to take refuge in you, to be a person that they want to be around, to be a person who's known for giving and caring, who empathizes and who is full of compassion, motivated by love. So you become this tree of the divine in the world, and your effect in the world becomes perceivable by the people around you as good, as love, as positive, as helpful, as endearing. It all comes from that seed, that love is my nature, that I am you and you are me, and that your needs are my needs, and our needs are always important. So water that seed of love in your mind. Know that all things come from the motive of love, and struggle with it until you see that, until it changes the wrong ideation, the wrong theorizing inside that is causing suffering, that is causing division, that is causing depression and loneliness and separateness. Take that seed of the name of God, reminding you of that oneness and that unity and that love. Water it with attention, constantly be aware of it, and let it put down roots to reinterpret your nourishment from the past, your attitudes and your habits from the past. Let it change them, and then let it feed your experience of life in the world, that you might begin to live for others, that you might begin to think about others and not be consumed with yourself and your own suffering and your own problems, and wall yourself off from this delightful experience of being.